I do feel good about this game. This is definitely a game. I wish it was more of a 3.5 point spread, then I'd be like, oh yeah, go all in on the 49ers. But with the way that spread is 9, I'm staying away from that aspect of it. But I like the 49ers. And here's why I like the 49ers. There are a couple things that the Atlanta Falcons are kind of going through right now from a personnel perspective. They don't really have any receivers. Now, they do have rookie Kyle Pitts, and he's terrific. But outside of him, it's really slim. Now, they'll use Cordell Patterson there, here and there, but they also use him as a running back. It's kind of like Deebo Samuel in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, he's a lot like Deebo Samuel. He's wearing number 84. It's kind of weird to see a running back there wearing a receiver or whatever he is, wearing number 84 in the backfield. But they lean on Cordell Patterson a lot in the run game. They also have Mike Davis. You guys are familiar with Mike Davis, former 49ers. 49ers drafted him, was it 2014, maybe 2015? 49ers drafted Mike Davis. He's still in the league, running strong, and he'll have a game here and there. But for the most part, they lean on Cordell Patterson. All right. They don't have a lot of weapons. And when you look at the 49ers and how they are on the back end, right? Everybody's worried about the 49ers back end. You look at the receivers that they have, you got Russell Gage, and that's kind of it. So I don't think they have anyone that truly threatens the 49ers. Now, again, and I heard my guys Jasper and Jamal on here last night. If you guys haven't listened to them, make sure you guys listen to the Jasper and Jamal podcast. They talked about it, how at some point guys are going to get theirs. But when you look at the receivers that the Atlanta Falcons have, they don't really have the guys like that to really just get theirs, right? Who scares you as far as their receivers go? Kyle Pitts. I mean, that's it. And even then, I like the matchup with Kyle Pitts just because he's not really going to run away from you. Now, again, he's another guy. He can get hit. 6'6", 245 pounds. He's a very fluid route runner. He's a unicorn. Not really tight ends like him. Closest thing is probably like Darren Waller. He's more like a Darren Waller. And Darren Waller was a former receiver, if I'm not mistaken. But they don't really have anything on the outside that truly threatens you from that standpoint. All right, so that's that first part. But here's the biggest key, I think, to the 49ers really kind of dominating the Atlanta Falcons offense. And we'll see. I have a lot of respect for Matt Ryan and what he's been throughout his career to just kind of overlook him. But they can't protect the passer. And I remember listening one time to a podcast, and they talked about how to be a good NFL team, there's 3 things you need. All right. 1, you need a good quarterback. 2, you need someone who protects the quarterback. 3, you need someone who gets after the quarterback. Now, while I do believe that the Atlanta Falcons do have the first part, they got a good quarterback, they're lacking the other 2 things big time. They're one of they get the least amount of pressure in the NFL. That definitely bodes well for the 49ers. And they can't protect Matt Ryan for anything. I don't know how many of you guys have watched the Atlanta Falcons or watched them on, it was either Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football. They were playing against the New England Patriots. And it was a disaster. Matter of fact, every quarterback that played in that game for the Atlanta Falcons, which they played 3 quarterbacks. They played Matt Ryan. They played, can't think of the kid's name, Felipe Franks, and they played Josh Rosen. All 3 threw interceptions. And I believe Josh Rosen threw 2 interceptions. So they threw 4 interceptions. Every quarterback they played threw a pick against the New England Patriots. Patriots defense, really good. Patriots defense is really good. But they can't protect anybody. They can't protect the quarterbacks. They can't protect Matt Ryan. And I have a lot of respect for Matt Ryan. I think Matt Ryan is terrific. I think he's a really good quarterback. I think he's probably one of the more underrated when you think of how good he's been throughout his career and the respect that I don't think he gets as much respect as what he's done in the league. But right now, clearly, he doesn't have the horses. Still 9 points, because sometimes when it comes down to the 49ers, it's not even more so about the other team. A lot of it comes down to the 49ers. And we've watched the 49ers playing games. The 49ers, to me, are a good team. 49ers are a good team. I feel like the 49ers, these are games that they should dominate, right? And we've seen the 49ers in these type of games, but more times than not, whether the 49ers are playing against somebody good or bad, they do all these weird things to either let teams hang around or potentially let another team beat them. The 49ers are very undisciplined. And that's why for me, it's really difficult to just be like, oh yeah, 49ers are going to blow them out. Can the 49ers? Of course. Will they? It's hard to say that. It's hard to say that. I got my guy Aaron here. He says, a good team with bad play. I don't think the 49ers are. I think the 49ers are the worst, best team, if that makes sense. Atlanta might be the best, worst team. 49ers are the worst, best team. What I mean by that is, I feel like on any given Sunday, the 49ers could beat anyone in the NFL. But also on any given Sunday, the 49ers go above and beyond to beat themselves. And even in games when a team tries to give them the game, which I don't know how y'all feel about the last game against the Cincinnati Bengals. I feel like the Bengals game, if that were the first time I had seen them, or maybe even the second time I'd seen them look weird, I probably would dismiss it as more of a one-off. But I don't think that's a one-off. And what I mean by that is, when I watched the 49ers game, and I touched on it a little bit yesterday, if you don't turn the ball over at all, right? You don't turn the ball over at all. You get 2 takeaways. That puts you in scoring position, right? Those are the two muff punts. Like those are gimmies. And then you just play your game the rest of the way. You should blow a team out. Especially for a defense that only gave up 6 points heading into the fourth quarter. That should be a blowout. That game should not even be close. I am so worried, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer right now, but I am so worried with the fact that that game went to overtime. And again, if it were just a one-off, if the 49ers just steamrolled teams the whole way, and then you have a weird game like that, then yeah, I get it. But I think that's kind of who the 49ers are, and that's what scares me. That's what scares me. They have these weird moments, especially offensively, and I don't know how that happens. And then when they aren't doing things like that, right, when they're not having those moments that are just weird, they do other things to just shoot themselves in the foot. I see my guy J.R. Meadows, and he says the secondary not built. So I'm assuming he's talking about the 49ers. But this is my thing. You had a secondary that at least held the other team under wraps with a lethal passing game. Lethal, right? The Bengals have a lethal passing game. They had 6 points heading into the fourth quarter. Offensively, you have to do something to put that team away. Offensively. You got to do something to put that team away. I think somebody's mowing my yard. So if y'all hear something in the background, that's what that is. Offensively, you gotta put teams away, right? 6 points heading into the fourth quarter. I don't even know if it's that the 49ers played down to their competition. Maybe that's the case, but I just think that they just do weird things. That's the only way. And I would say this: if you play down to your competition, but you still won those games, that would be one thing. And I don't even want to say play down to your competition, because when I look at the Cincinnati Bengals, I think Cincinnati is a good team. I think Cincinnati is going to be a playoff team. And you were able to beat them. But the way in which what it came down to, that's what worries me. In a game that you controlled that game, and you got the things that helped you put that team away, and you still couldn't do it. Those are the things that worry me about the 49er team. So again, when we tie it back into a game against the Atlanta Falcons, I think the 49ers should dog them. I think the 49ers should blow them out. 49ers have the advantage offensively. You have more weapons. Ayuk is coming into his own. You have George Kittle. He's playing at an elite level right now. You got Trent Williams. He's the best offensive lineman probably I've ever seen. You have Jimmy Garoppolo, 8-year vet. He has his moments where he plays well. Running game. Hopefully, you got Elijah Mitchell back. You got Debo Samuel. You got all these things working in your favor offensively. Defensively, the secondary is definitely not as bad as people think. You have a linebacker core with Azeez Al-Shaair. Hopefully he plays. You got Fred Warner, all pro Fred. You got a D line. You got obviously Nick Bosa, but Arden Key. Arden Key has more sacks this year than he's had in the previous 37 games combined. The previous 3 years combined that he played in, Arden Key has more sacks this year than he did in his entire career. So you have some help. But even then, do y'all trust the 49ers? I don't trust the 49ers. They do weird things. Jimmy tried to do some weird things last game. He dropped the ball, he just dropped it. It's like, okay, I'm in the pocket and I just dropped the ball. He tried to do some weird things. He tried to throw the pick six. And those are, weird moments that he had against Seahawks in the previous loss. You know what I'm saying? Overthrows, interceptions, stagnant offense. They do things to try to let other teams win. And so I don't know if a team is going to show up. I don't know if 49ers team is going to show up, but I do, in theory, like the 49ers. In theory, I feel like this is a game that the 49ers should dominate. In theory, I feel like the 49ers should win 31-13. But I feel like this 49ers team, they don't make it that simple.